welcome to episode 66 of What the Truck. We're so excited to have you here. This is What the Truck with 100% more cowbell, and we are here with Timothy Dooner, ladies and gentlemen,
Listen for the cowbell.
Ellis Smith.
Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, it's great to have you. And we want to give a shout out to the North American Commercial Vehicle Show, NACV. Thank you. Big shout out to our new sponsor for the month of May. The North American Commercial Vehicle Show, NACV, is a B2B exhibition focused on fleet decision makers and key influencers in the commercial vehicle industry. Leading truck and trailer manufacturers and commercial vehicle parts and component suppliers will demonstrate their latest product offerings during the NACV Show 2019, taking place at the Georgia World Congress Center in Atlanta from October 28th through 31st. What the Truck listeners can go to nacvshow.com and register with code FW19 for a free expo hall pass. And now we are going to play What You Drinkin', and then we've got a little bit of the Outside the Lanes report from the field about the Falcon story. Gonna play another rousing round of earnings over under, who will win today. Also some interesting other news. What in the world is going on with Amazon's disintermediation strategy? Easy for me to say. And we're going to talk about a few other things like, is the infrastructure thing really happening? If we have time for it, guys, we better get that in, and a little bit of everything else, plus what's coming up on the radio show this week. Let's get started. Guys, what you drinking?
Well, I am having a delicious and nutritious, it's a Nashville craft lager called Upstream. And though it's from Nashville, this is a San Fran lager that our good friends at Little Harpeth Brewing put together for us. It's delicious, but I've never had it before. I don't even.
You sound very studious about it.
It's got an apple hue and it goes down smooth.
Wow,
that sounds delightful and lovely. I'm just hitting me some Naked River Open the Hop Hatch Pale Ale 5.8 ABV.
That is the O-Try for FreightWaves. The
Yeah,
Rejection
don't get me
Index beer.
started. And Dooner?
well, brother, I went over to the bevy and I went clean. I mean, it's just plain H2O. I would have brought I had some kombucha in my fridge. I forgot to bring it with me. I think you have to keep that stuff refrigerated, or else it turns into a mushroom soup or something.
Yes.
But maybe one day in the freight alley we'll get that Blue Indian Head kombucha.
Hint, hint. Right. Did you go sparkling or still?
No, I'm a still guy. I just
okay.
I heard the sparkling can do bad things to your teeth. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh no.
I don't know.
Maybe that
Have you seen
explains
anyone
I'm
it.
in
with
trouble
teeth
then.
Who's oh, what happened to you? I drank
Sparkling
too much
water.
I'm kind of
yeah.
going numb around the edges.
Had
That's
too much.
Too many bubbles.
well, good times, guys. Without further ado, let's talk about, Dooner, you were sent into no man's land. You had been here, 3 or 4 minutes, and they sent you out on a field assignment all the way out to, was it Youngstown, Ohio?
Youngstown, Ohio, which I'll tell you a little background on this, because I was sitting on my couch at 10 o'clock at night, and Ellis was here with us, so I'm not going to talk behind his back. He bangs me on Slack, and he's like, hey, you want to go down to get the Falcon story? And I'm like, hell yeah, and devil horns. And then and then he's like, and I'm like, wait, hold on a second. How do I, what am I supposed to do? What's the process? Do I book a flight or something? He's like, well, maybe you just drive there, it'd be shorter. I'm like, Ellis, have you ever looked at a map before? Because, Youngstown is 13 hours away. But, is Lower Ohio? If you were to go to Kentucky from here, how long would that take?
Kentucky? Oh,
Yeah.
a mere
6 hours.
6 hours, yeah.
Yeah,
A short
you'd be
jaunt.
in Lexington.
But this is they're all the way up by Canada over there, and I'll tell you, dude, it's still fall. And
Yeah.
the trip there, so you go through CLT, which has the largest rocking chair collection in the world.
That, of course, is the Charlotte Airport.
Yeah, I love CLT, and that takes you over to the CAC. But the trip itself is not much different than going to Boston. It's 4.5 hours with a little bit of layover, very peaceful. So it was a nice ride. And when I landed there, I was telling you guys, they still have foliage going on over there, and it was overcast. And initially, that gave me the impression oh, this is going to be a really downtrodden, sort of beat up area.
And I guess it wasn't.
Well, so it's because it had come in so late, and I'm not even necessarily sure why I was given the assignment. I'm glad I was. Maybe Ellis can give some backstory into how I ended up doing it. But for me, it was kind of a natural fit, at least from what I know. I kind of felt like like Mr. Miyagi, he makes like Daniel Russo do a bunch of chores, like paint the fence and sweep the deck. Well, like in my career, I've done operations, so I understand trucking really well. I've done social media, I've done the marketing, so that kind of component really came into the story. And then finding all of these buildings and stuff, I used to do outside sales cold calls, so I'm very used to going into decks and stuff. And then in the music industry, I used to sneak into concerts, and if you carry a clipboard, you can pretty much get into any building.
I was gonna
say, I can't say too much around Ellis.
No. Here's what overall, if you haven't heard the story, earlier in the week, and I think it was early week, maybe Tuesday, it was announced that Falcon Transport had just completely shut down operations. And I mean, it was like a literally one of those, which is not completely, unheard of, but it's cease your operation now, get your stuff out of the vehicle, and you may be stranded wherever. We may or may not, your paycheck may or may not clear. You got to go figure it out. And so
let's find out from Ellis. Like, Ellis, what's the back? Because he's the editor here. Like, what was the back end? So this came through on a weekend, right? These people got cut off on a Saturday. So you had the news coming through, and I was dispatched on a Monday. So what happened between Saturday and that Monday night when you got in touch with me?
Well, we started getting reports, and you always get reports. So every day somebody writes in and says, these guys are breaking the law. And you look into it, and it's not really real. It's somebody's perception versus reality, what you can confirm. So we started getting reports, and as usual, I looked at it and said, okay, somebody got a text message, somebody's got a video of a text message. All right. I mean, it sounds pretty severe, but I don't know. I looked over at the Ohio Secretary of State's website. There was no WARN Act, which is normally what companies are required to do. If you're going to do a bunch of layoffs, shut down the whole company, you're supposed to let the state know. Otherwise, you get into deep doo-doo. So I thought, well, that's risky, right? If they're really shutting down, why didn't they do a WARN Act? Long story short, we were able to confirm it late. Clarissa Hawes, a very talented reporter on staff at FreightWaves, was able to confirm it, and we broke that story. That became, I believe, either our first or second most trafficked story, most seen story of all time.
Wow.
We followed it up. People had some warning signs.
So you dispatched the new guy.
And Dooner had joined us a little while ago and was unbelievably enthusiastic, had proposed several ideas that included, let's talk about trucker life, truck driver conditions. In fact, we've got a really interesting, I don't want to give too much away, but we have some really interesting lifestyle coverage coming up of some things that people are doing to increase their the health inside the cab. So he's coming up with these ideas, and I thought, this is the guy. He's going to go out there. He can be empathetic with their situation. He has the other experiences he talked about. He's going to be able to if there's anybody I want to airdrop into Youngstown, Ohio, and trust that they're going to find the right people and have a nose for that, it's Tim. Ooh. And he didn't disappoint.
He's building you up, Dooner.
He didn't disappoint. I mean, obviously Falcon was closed, as we had reported. So
yeah,
it's good that we got that right.
Well, no, because I landed right. We had no leads at this point. We really didn't know. We knew the name of a person who had the text message, and I landed there at the airport. And my background is, I told about the operations and stuff, but most recently I've been doing podcasting, and I started podcasting because I lost a job from a company that unceremoniously got rid of me when my wife was 8 months pregnant. So when I heard that a guy over there, he had lost his job with a newborn, it really fired me up. So I was really excited to go and do this. And then when I landed, I'm like, I don't know, but I think that if I just talk to these people on LinkedIn, because I saw their messages, if I just talk to them and they'll see that I'm there, maybe they will talk to me. So all I did was post a video that I was there. I'm like, I'm here at CAC Airport. I'm jumping in my Dodge my Dodge rental car.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go down there. And if you have a grievance and you want to go on the record or off the record, just reach out to me. And it's funny to spread because when the first day, not much happened, man. We actually have that special report that's out now too.
Yeah,
on
I was
What
about
the
to
Truck
say
Created.
that.
Yeah, Ellis and I kind of rapped about this stuff. It's a very emergent and very developing story where constantly new information's coming in. It's extremely sensitive, right, Ellis? There's a lot of stuff we had to hold back because it's not verified. It can get people in quite a bit of trouble, especially if some of these allegations are true. I mean, we're talking. I mean, Counterpoint could have really screwed up this exit.
Well, let's touch briefly on. We've got the backstory. What did we find out from going to Youngstown, Ohio?
Oh my God, it's a deep rabbit hole. What I found out there was that the people, first of all, I found out that the area was not that different. One of the first things I saw when I got off the freeway was a Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm a masshole, I'm from Boston, I've mentioned that before. And I don't know if you know this, man, but there's a Dunkin' Donuts in every corner there. So for people like us, that's like the North Star. So I just gravitated right towards it, set up base camp, got out my Wi-Fi, and turns out that Falcon was right down the street. And, like I said, initially that first day, there was really nobody around, but I was posting images, and I think the people who live there, they're like, oh, this guy's not just like some reporter in a suit. He's really here. He's doing the groundwork. And then suddenly people really opened up. But I spent most of that first day over in Lordstown to cover the GM thing, because our initial impression was, oh, well, GM had to have a huge hand in this happening. They're a major player in there. And the funny thing is, one of the things that we learned was like, maybe GM being in business was a lot worse for Falcon Transport than GM going out of business. And it had a little bit more, that forced them into a private equity situation and a sales situation. But there was a lot more to it than that. It had to do with the multi-generational family who may not have wanted to be in that position, may have cared more for cats, which God bless him. I went to that cat facility. And I'd love to clarify. I went to the cat facility.
There's a cat facility, a no-kill shelter, what is it, adjacent to the Falcon property, correct?
No, it's near it. It's called, it's there. They use it like as an outreach program. And it seems like the guy Mark Consonetti, if you don't know, he used to own Falcon Transport. He's fourth generation in the family. For what we heard from a lot of executives, they didn't really care for him. They were happy to see him exit. There were a lot of fights. And, some allege that maybe some money went to the cat fund, but a lot of them have said that it did not at all, and this was a great program for the cats. And you know what? I 100% agree. I did the legwork. I was in the shelter. I met the guys there. One of the guys was laid off from GM, and he said to me, I said, look, we've been getting all these outreach. Let me know your email. I'll let you know, like JB Hunt's, the FedEx of the world, all of these carriers are offering jobs. I'm sure they'd help out a GM guy too. And he said, you know what, man? No, I live down the street and I absolutely love working here. And I talked to other people, and that told me that this is a good thing. The private equity firm, they may have killed the Falcon name in transportation, but at least it can live on as a no-kill shelter.
So if it wasn't the cats that killed it, what did kill Falcon? That's what
What killed Falcon?
About.
I think the bad business dealings that led up to that. I think that maybe Mark Constantine didn't want to run the business, and maybe he had people in positions there where that GM contract was terrible. I mean, they got charged $80,000 on a 110 a mile load that they were pulling because it was late, and that's from them. And again, these are not necessarily my voice. These are things that I've heard from other people, but they call them a very predatory partner. And the people in Lordstown, they were, if you go there, there's so much GM pride, but it's all a relic of a past time. It's all a relic of days gone. And now the people, they really hate having that there. It's a sore spot to them. And I went to Ross's Pub over there, which is like the closest dive bar. And I know I've mentioned I don't drink over there, but I still like hanging out in dive bars. And one of the reasons I don't drink is because I used to day drink too much. And I know that if you go into a dive bar in the middle of the day and start drinking, you're going to meet some blue-collar guys watching soap operas. So I talked to them. That was like my first lead source, them and the geese.
Well, that's very good. And, I think that's a more than a great tease. That does give us some context.
Yeah, I don't want to tease. I'm not trying to drive content necessarily because it's a big story for everybody, but it's so big, right? There's so much to it.
Well, what I wanted to say is we do have your special edition, which really details a lot of the stories such as we knew it immediately. You did that last night. It is on the FreightWaves Now article, Clarissa Haas's latest update on the story. that story that is in full. And, this is one of those things that, whether or not you were completely prepared for it, I was really impressed. I was living kind of vicariously through your social media and your call outs on LinkedIn, just saying, hey, I'm here, let's talk. Because I remember when I would teach composition, to freshmen, and I got to come up with any assignment that I wanted to, just so they were writing some kind of various content. And one of the essays I would assign I did this with hundreds of students, was the ethnography assignment, where it was called field research.
All right, Ellis, spell ethnography.
ETHNOG.
Ethnography, yes.
This is a callback to last episode.
Not to put you on the spot there, but
what is ethnography?
It is the study of. It is going out and doing field research. Essentially, it is like what I would tell the students is like, I want you to go and observe a place, and I want you to track your assumptions. expectations. I want you to think, what were your expectations going in? What did you learn from the experience? What surprised you? What didn't surprise you? I want you to conduct interviews. I want you to in detail observe the surroundings of where, and the students that really bought in and did it, like they didn't even have to write it that well, but because they went and had an adventure and an experience. I had students that would do ride-arounds with police officers. I would have they would come back from the field with these fascinating reports, and the boring ones that just went to the cafeteria, and just kind of looked around and didn't track their. The long and short of it is just that there is power to jumping in, carrying your clipboard and acting like you know what you're doing, and looking for some answers. Like you'll even if there is no deep dark secret buried in the in the attic or whatever, you're still going to get a different kind of journalism and experience for the readers than for anyone, however whatever format, than you would otherwise.
No, and I would agree, because Ellis, you've seen the articles that came before and after this, and I think there was a lot more information that came through, and because you can contextualize things, and we're not even done doing that. If I had to give an elevator, like you asked, so we can move on to the next segment, if I had to give an elevator of what happened, I think that it's multi-generational gets into business, and it usually is in our transportation. They got into some trouble. Some executives tried to exit. They tried to do this private equity deal. They made all the wrong moves.
They didn't know anything about logistics.
They put the wrong people in the position, and it's kind of something that we're seeing in the industry as a whole. There's a countdown to extinction, I think, going on for some of these smaller carriers that are getting themselves in bad positions with big partners that have too big of fleets, and they're afraid to get rid of the contract because they want to sell to private equity. And then I think here too, private equity was afraid to get rid of the GM deal because they were trying to exit. And I think that's all going to come out in the wash.
Whew. A lot of moving parts, very interesting story. And, hey, way to jump in with both feet.
All right, let's. You know what? I've been away from this. I didn't bring this with me. I was afraid security might not do it. I've been away from it for too many days. It's time to hit the bell.
Well, we are now with 100% more cowbell, bringing it to you each and every week, and you know what? Soon to be more. So, I know you just can't wait for it, but we are going to be bringing it to you right now. Ellis Smith, you're going to be bringing it to us right now with some earnings under, because if you snooze, you lose.
Uh-oh.
No, if you lose the earnings under, you have to host it, apparently.
Loser hosts.
Earnings over under.
All right, I'm gonna just a disclaimer here. Since I was out in the field, I have absolutely no idea what could have happened here, so this is gonna be very speculative.
Well, funny story about that. Chad was here, and he has no idea.
Yeah, I mean, but what else?
So
yeah, but I'm supposed to not know,
so
right?
He studiously, and I'm proud of him for this, studiously avoided any spoilers all week long.
I studiously didn't read 20 articles on
well
earnings.
known, yeah.
No, we'll read them all afterwards.
Well, welcome to another exciting edition of Earnings Over or Under. This week, we're adding a little twist to our now weekly contest. If you guess it correctly, there are bonus points for guessing whether it was revenue, money coming in, or expenses, money going out, that helped them hit or miss their earnings. So you get to choose.
You've already exceeded my earnings.
Was it money coming in or money going out? So we're going to start.
This is above my pay grade.
So
we're going to
start. We're going to start with a practice that's actually for real. Snyder National.
Practice for real.
Snyder National, the transportation and logistics services company, over or under, and we're going to alternate starting with Chad. Schneider National Transportation and Logistics Services Company, starting with Chad, Dr. Prevost.
I'm taking the under, I guess. I don't know what it is of, but I'm just going under.
It was 31 cents per share.
Under, baby. Under, yeah.
Under 31 cents. I'm going to go, I'll say it was over.
It was over. Both good guesses, but they were 10 cents worse than consensus estimate. And so, Chad, as the winner, do you feel like
Chad.
Was it revenues or expenses that hurt them worse?
Now wait. Now do I lose what I just gained?
I think
revenue, or
this
I'm
is
going
a
to
bonus.
say revenue.
Revenue was up by 5%. No bonus point for you. first.
That's fine.
Okay, the next one is XPO Logistics. We know them very well. They will be at Transparency 19.
Yeah.
XPO
With
Logistics.
visionary speaker
Yeah.
Brad Jacobs.
Well, I mean, and full disclosure, they did have a little trouble. Their stock actually was a really good value a couple of months ago, right? When the Amazon thing came out, or the speculative Amazon loss of 5% of the business, it dropped the stock about 50% or even more. But XPO was like, well, our stock is very cheap right now. I know they've been doing a lot of buybacks, so this will be an interesting one, right, Ellis?
Indeed, it will.
All right, what do you think?
What am I?
I'm going over. I'll go over on that.
Over what?
I don't know. It's just going to be over whatever people thought. Because I don't. I know.
Okay.
I use like Robinhood. I do the stock trading, and I
thing.
know that XPO's been going back.
I think there is a little bit of a both and going on here. I think that so they took that big hit. They took that big hit in the first quarter. They are probably this is what I'm going to say. They probably are recovering admirably. But they're probably trying to, hype it, make it more exciting than, and maybe I think, so I'm going to have to say I would be shocked if they were over with losing such a large contract. So I'm going to have to say under.
XPO Logistics had quarterly earnings of 51 cents per share, beating the consensus estimate of 41 cents per share.
You know what? And I knew Ellis.
There's no way.
No, I follow. I have a Robinhood app, and XPO is one of the ones I follow in there. And I have invested some of my own money in XPO. Full disclosure, because when it was down around like 52, I mean the stock was at like 112 or 120. It's down to 52. I know XPO is a great company with a visionary leader. So there's only one place for it to go but up, and it has. I think it went. It was at 50. Now it was at like 67 or maybe even 72. I don't know the exact stock price right now, but I know that it's gained much back on its share. And XPO is smart. They know they're a strong company too, so they bought back a lot of their stock while it was cheap.
And XPO leader Brad Jacobs said, "We've got our mojo back." So even though he took that hit with Amazon, they were able to do some rejiggering and get to where they needed to be.
Vision Mojo, Mr. Mojo Rising, Jim Morrison.
Look, if you invest in companies and someone loses 5% of their business, this wasn't 65. It was 5%. You don't lose 50% of your value over there and think that's a bad deal. It's an obvious rebound stock. And if you know anything about stocks for this business, it was clearly a good time to invest in XPO.
Now that may be true, but I feel like you're kind of beating a dead cowbell right now. You won. You won. You're just
man. So that I knew that one. That was in my lane.
That clearly was.
And
nothing
now,
to be ashamed about.
And now, well done, both of you. Good tries. And
I
now
feel like we could pick up the pace since
Atlas
we have 51 more earnings to cover.
Atlas Air, which, as the name suggests, does fly airplanes.
What about it? What are we picking over or under?
I am pulling that up now since I am
Mr. Prepared, managing editor.
This is how everything around here runs. I am furiously pulling up the analyst estimates. According to MarketWatch, the mean estimate this quarter was 78 cents, over or under.
I'm going under. Yep, under.
Do you want to? Well, let me give you. Don't give your reason. Yeah, because if you do, you might inform me. So the
That's
winner
right.
should give the reason, right? You don't want to give. You don't want to show your cards.
I know.
All right, so you went under. I'll go. I mean, I don't. It sounded like you were pretty convinced. So I'll go. I'm going to go under with you. I'm going to play this one safe because I'm going to retain my point on XPO and I'm going to make it really hard for you.
Well, you should have flown the friendly skies because you're both wrong. It sounds Atlas Air brought in adjusted earnings of 98 cents per share. That was ahead of both the fourth quarter of last year and the estimates. Total volumes were actually up, even though we saw some others who were in not so good shape.
I was going to say, in doing FreightWaves now and talking to market expert Jesse Cohen, our air cargo specialist. I mean, there's been nothing but headwinds in air cargo. Everything's down right now. Like it's a little suppressed. It might be ticking up with seasonality, but all the reports I've seen are that it has been significantly down from 2018 levels.
Well, and I will add, I mean, your instincts are correct. Their average utilization, block hours per day, it is down, particularly in cargo, as well as passenger. It's down from the 3 months that ended in March 31st, 2018, so that first quarter of 2018. But they were able to be more efficient with less, apparently.
That has kind of been one of the themes that I have that I would say is a takeaway from all of the earnings reports. Any over the last couple of weeks, any earnings report that is that gained its operational efficiencies. Even in spite of the multiple headwinds. Let's move on. This is very discouraging.
Saia Inc. Their estimates were, I have it here, on time this time.
Saia, it ain't so.
I'm gonna give you their average estimate.
Saia.
$1.37. That's not
$1.37. I mean, they are a leading LTL.
I don't think that's right.
company.
That's
I'm
pretty
glad,
hype, yes.
you know, ever since I started working in the logistics industry, I did learn how to pronounce the name, which was I just didn't know how. Saia. It's beautifully pronounced.
Are you like stalling? Is this how you think these
Saia.
things through by just rambling on about how you pronounce names?
No, I'm stalling for him,
All
I
right,
suppose,
yeah,
and
you're
you're
right.
first.
Oh yeah, well,
You know,
well, it was Ellis last week who was
like-
stalling. You're like, what do you need the pronunciation?
Okay,
There's only
so
one little
analyst estimates, the actual analyst estimates for Saia for the first quarter were 90 cents per diluted share. Over or under?
90 cents.
is he making this
Over.
Over. There's one bid for over.
99. I'm going to say over as well.
All right, so yeah, we're very optimistic about Saia. We shouldn't have been.
Oh.
They reported
No cowbell on that one.
earnings
got
per
it.
diluted
Sounds
share
rough.
of 85 cents, but up from 80 cents the first quarter of 2018. So not as good as analysts wanted it to be, but still better than last year first quarter. Congratulations to Saia, and congratulations to you guys,
Ellis,
unfortunately.
this is telling an interesting story here because we're talking about XBO and Saia. They're all carriers, and people, a lot of people are concerned about a down trucking market or a flat market. But it looks like, at least in terms of their earnings per share, they're actually doing quite well, and they're reacting to it quite well, right?
And possibly, I should have thought about this, possibly taking advantage of the closure of New England Motor Freight up in that general region where Saia can
true.
take advantage.
Maybe there's some extra stuff to pick up, some extra
Yeah.
loads now.
I mean,
that
I know
they're
it's easier
absorbing.
said than done with LTL.
Yeah, I mean, any MF is from my neck of the woods. It was sad to see those guys go.
Right, for sure.
Well, let's move on to Wabash. You've heard of the Wabash Cannonball. This is Wabash National. They do trucking.
Yes.
What do we think about analyst expectations of 25 cents per share, over or under?
They get a quote. Wait, what kind of trucking does Wabash do? Do they have a brokerage component? I'm not as familiar.
Big trucks.
Big trucks?
That's one of his lifelines. He just used one of his lifelines.
Well,
right
no,
there.
commercial.
We get to hear
They
it, too.
Commercial trailer products. Excuse me.
Commercial
They're
trailer products.
Commercial trailer products.
I've never heard of them, so I gotta say under.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm going first, but that's cool to know.
Oh, he
that
gave it
you're-
away.
Give one away.
Wait, you're going what?
Your whole
I said
strategy.
under. I said I hadn't heard of them. I didn't give anything away. I don't have any information. I'm too ignorant to go.
I'm gonna go.
over.
I'm gonna go under.
So you're both under.
Yeah.
You're both underwater.
Dang!
that is-
What is happening?
man.
It's the mind tricks.
Net
It's
Roman's
the-
cowbell free.
Net income was down at 14.8 million, or 27 cents per share. So it beat analyst expectations, even though they were down. Analysts expected it to be worse.
Well, congratulations to them, though. The industry, all of these are really seeming like they've been very good signs, very bright spots for the transportation industry.
If not
Indeed.
for us right
Now
now.
we're coming up on a little highlight here.
Yeah, we're under. We're under.
We're supposed to be 100%
Our
more
over-under's a little
cowbell.
under last week's, but that's okay.
Right now, I
Highlight
feel like
coming
we're
up.
only 33% more cowbell.
Yeah. I know. We're supposed to be 100%.
This is the big, well-known brokerage firm known to you guys as C.H. Robinson.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's known to just us.
Analyst expectations.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm terrible at this.
Hey,
I need to win next time.
There was
so
a
that I don't-
really interesting lawsuit. I'm going to talk about something though. This was a really interesting one. I don't know if people heard it.
Right now, we're both 1
Did
and
you hear
4.
the one? No, that they got sued for carrying some chocolate. Some chocolate melted, and there was some component there about things not being disclosed about whether they were a carrier or a broker, and C.H. Robinson got held on the line.
Wow.
I'm just saying, I don't know. So that could affect
know
their
what?
earnings, could it not?
Yeah. I think, you
Could
might
affect
want
the chocolate. Could affect the chocolate industry. That shipper doesn't have their chocolate.
I
So-
think you'll be taking the under here.
We
Well,
have
No, I mean, C.H. Robinson still has-
Underwear is fun to wear.
dollar.
Uh,
Analysts were expecting $1.24 per share, and that was their expectation. What say you, analysts?
Well, life is like a box of chocolates.
I say
You never know when you're going to get sued.
I'm going first, right?
Okay.
Pulling the freight horn. And I'm saying, over! C.H. Robinson! Keep on rocking it. Way to be an incumbent.
Well, we're kind of at a stalemate here. I actually think C.H. Robinson may have inched over, but you know what? I'm into game theory, and I gotta increase my lead against this gentleman over here. So I'm gonna go with the under.
They did go over.
Yeah! Look over you, Jed.
It was they went over. They beat it by 3 cents, and I gave misleading information. It was $1.13. They hit $1.16, so they beat it by 3 cents. However, for the bonus, total revenue was it revenue that they used to beat it, or was it expenses that they used to beat it? How did they beat? Money coming in or money going out?
Gotta go revenue again!
Total revenue for the first quarter decreased 4.4%.
Oh!
But good guess. You had a 50-50 chance. Hub Group.
It's not a good guess.
Well, you.
It's a guess.
I'm trying to
and
be
it was
encouraging.
wrong.
I'm trying to be encouraging.
Yeah.
I feel
That
like
was a little
I feel like,
patronizing.
despite my abysmal
Yeah.
performance as the question asker,
I mean,
I
he doesn't
somehow
really have a hill
I
to
feel
stand
like
on.
I feel like somehow I'm winning this, even though I
You know.
even though I'm not even a
Well, you
contestant.
did win because we probably won't let you be host
That's
again.
right.
So,
So
you
I'm
got that
the,
going for you.
I'm the all-time winner.
That's right.
Hub Group, they do many things.
Hub Group. Well, I'm from the hub.
All right, you're
And-
first.
Boston's the hub, man. So I am gonna say, with limited knowledge, I'm gonna go for my ignorant mind. I'm gonna throw
Well,
some
let me give you-
positivity out there. I'm gonna throw them some love. I think Hub Group went over.
That's on a 3.21 a share forecast.
Well, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, wait. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, I mean,
So
I don't know.
$3.21 a share was the analyst
That's high.
expectation.
That's
Yeah,
a high
that's a
EPS.
lot.
Amazon was like Amazon was like $4.50, but most of these things you're seeing are like a quarter or $1.25.
I believe in game theory too, but I just feel like I'm feeling a sense of over right now.
Really?
feeling-
And then I'm
yeah.
switching to under on him, and I didn't know it was that high. I was just throwing the positive.
Are you
I'm
switching
I'll
to
go
under?
I'm going under. I'm leaving you. I tricked you. I did a little bait and switch over here. I went out the back door and walked the
All
other
right,
way.
let's see how that works out for you.
Record earnings per share, more than doubling year earlier levels.
Ow!
well above
God,
analyst
really?
estimates.
How?
Well, congratulations to them.
Yes.
And to me.
And to you, and to you, and to you. I should have stuck with my answer.
We're
You know, they
getting a
say,
little more
they say that in
Calvo.
tests, and I just failed game theory. They say in tests, never change your answer, right? Especially on multiple
Yeah.
choice.
Go with your gut.
Yeah.
Your
Go with
your
gut.
subconscious knows.
That's right. Trust your
Yeah.
inner voice. On this
Neither
one,
one worked out for me.
Yeah, it's your
along
active
those
mind that's
lines.
the idiot. It's the active mind that'll talk you into all sorts of stupid stuff.
we now turn our attention to
This is
a
true.
short line railroad, Genesee and Wyoming. The NASDAQ consensus estimates were 83 cents a share.
83
Over or
cents.
under?
Well, short line is like one of my favorite properties in Monopoly.
Absolutely.
I'm a big railroad guy. I like to get the railroads and the utilities. I mean, I like to keep the power moving because you can kind of get those going out before you can put houses
Because
down.
that's $200 a pop. That
You
people
could
land
win-
on it when
you
you
could
get all
win on
four.
Mon-
And
Monopoly
I
by-
like the two ghetto properties that are
Oh,
there,
yeah.
right there. You know, you can build those
Yeah.
up quick. It reminds me of the
Is
roadway
that
inns that I stay in.
Baltic and Mediterranean.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go.
Those had nothing to do with
Over.
railroad. You're going to go over, huh?
Yeah.
Take a ride on the reading. Do
Reading
not pass go.
railroad.
Do not collect $200. I'm going under. Rail has
Under.
faced a lot of
Yeah,
headwinds,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
only thing that's the shining light in the entire rail industry
Yeah.
right now is petroleum. Everything is down, and it has to do with the surplus of capacity in trucking.
Yeah.
Give me the under.
It is, in fact, the under.
Yeah.
It's
And you know what? You're right. You
78
brought up
cents.
a great thing. Intermodal is very tethered to the cost of semi truck transportation. transportation to dry van transportation, there's a certain cutoff point, which is X amount of miles it costs money to go intermodal and get on the rail. And right now, there has been that capacity available in trucking, so that does affect the rail market. Me knowing that, I should have known better, but I think I let my personal love of monopoly stand in the way of good judgment.
I should have known better than to cheat a friend.
Coming up next is Oshkosh.
Oshkosh,
Gosh.
Oshkosh, the mean estimate of $2.38 a quarter.
Wow. Wait, how does Oshkosh relate to this?
Oshkosh, what?
Well, I mean, they move trucks, right? They have a lot of baby clothes. I haven't seen it.
238.
Well, you know what? So millennials, right? Millennials are a huge boom generation,
Those
right?
millennials.
Millennials are boom generation, and they have boomer grandparents. So I think that a lot of baby clothes are being purchased in this day and age, and I think I'm going with the over.
I guess I'll take the under and give him a chance to
Give me
get
a
back in the
chance.
game.
It is the over.
See, man,
All right.
you got to go out and meet the babies.
All right, coming up next, Ryder. How did Ryder do? Ryder System Inc.
LTL. Can you give us? Do I have a lifeline?
The consensus estimates were 99 cents per share.
Yeah. That's
Who
a
goes
tough one,
first
right?
here?
You go first.
99 cents per share.
Which is really specific if you think about it. Why not just round up to $1 at some point? I mean, I get it. There's a lot of math going on, but hasn't every single one of these companies either beat or missed? None of them have been dead on the analyst expectations. So just make it a round number. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, go ahead.
Wow, you've really thrown me a curveball. Does that mean that you have? Everything's trending upwards.
Yeah.
I'm going slightly over.
Over.
They've been investing a lot in infrastructure, in electric, in their
Fleet management, dedicated transportation.
lots of investment, but
Yeah. So you're going over.
going over.
I'm going to go under for the same reason. I'm going to go that they didn't earn that much per share because they've invested a lot of capital. Maybe in the next quarter, we'll start seeing those returns and those dividends pay off.
Okay.
But I think that maybe they didn't earn as much because they're reinvesting, which is a good thing. They're reinvesting in the brand and the company.
Those dividends started paying off early.
Oh.
It's $1.11 per share. It was their earnings for the quarter.
Man, I think you destroyed me this one. I think
I've taken a nice lead.
All
I don't
right.
know how many more we've got.
Are there any more? The segment's running a
What do
little
we?
long.
Was it revenue for the bonus? Was it revenue or expenses?
Oh, not again.
Oh,
For the
man,
we've got to get a
we don't
bonus.
like multiple
Somebody's got to get a
bonus
bonus.
questions.
Revenue. I'm sticking with it, just like heads every time.
Revenue was up 2.
Yeah!
Revenue up 15%. It was
Body
2.2
blow.
billion year over year. So that's awesome. Good for them.
Man, well, congratulations to the industry,
Ryder.
too, because we were having a lot of overs, right? A lot of people were beating expectations right now. I know that back in January, right, a lot of people were trying to forecast, when is the bubble going to burst? When's the recession going to come in? We started looking at the trucking market, and even into March, it kind of looked like, oh, wow, things might start going south. But these earnings that we're seeing is painting a much different story, aren't they, Ellis?
Absolutely. We've got another one here. Now, I'm going to give you a hint on this one. This company manufactures Kenworth, Peterbilt, and DAF trucks. It's called Paccar, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, sure.
And they
Parkour, that's when you climb on buildings, right?
correct. And
Yeah.
their analysts estimated that they would do $1.65 per share in the first quarter, over or under.
Man.
It's your turn first.
All right. All right.
They make trucks.
They make trucks. Well, I know that a lot of capital fleets were bought last year, but I think that maybe there not as many fleets are being bought this year because all of the investments that went in. I know there's a big backlog too, so I'm going to say that they're under.
Well, just going according to game theory, how much more can I distance myself from, in the lead? I'm going to take the over.
The over is correct.
Whoa!
Earnings per diluted share of $1.81.
Thanks for the token cowbell.
That's
Pays to be positive.
That's up 23% from the prior year in
All right.
2018.
Well,
And the final one, this is the last one we've got here. Eaton Corporation.
Eaton Corporation, they're not food supplier. What do they do?
What am I taking the over or
Analysts
under
had expected
on?
$1.25 a share.
$1.25 a share for Eaton Corporation.
I'm
Now or never.
gonna take the under.
All right, I gotta go over because I don't know if I can win. I think I might have be mathematically eliminated from
But
the
at least
playoffs.
you could maybe end on a high note.
end on a high note.
The answer is $1.23 a share.
Yeah. Wow.
Well done, well played, and
Well-
congratulations to Tim Dooner, the
Yeah.
next host of Earnings Over Under.
Oh, I'm so
And
glad I don't have to host.
Dr. Prevost will skip another week.
Ellis,
as
I think
host.
Chad and I will both agree. We hope you never lose earnings over.
I've got to win. I've got to win.
Yes, it's agreed.
right.
Thanks for playing, guys.
Thanks, Ellis.
Welcome to our 5 good minutes segment of What the Truck. And for this segment, we are so excited to have on the show manager, Carmen Diaz of the North American Commercial Vehicle Show, otherwise known as the NACV. Carmen, how you doing?
Doing good, Chad. How are you doing today?
Great. It's fantastic to have you on. Are you ready to run the challenging gauntlet of my questions and try to get these all done in 5 minutes or less?
Yeah, definitely. Let's make this happen.
Okay, well, do it. And when we get some more T-shirts in, we will send you a free T-shirt if you can do it.
Oh, yeah, let's do this. And I will thoroughly enjoy wearing it.
Now you've got some real incentive, I know.
It's a badge of honor.
Okay, so here we go. Well, I always like to get a little personal narrative history. What brought you into logistics, Carmen, and how'd you get to be a part of the NACV show?
Yeah, so apart from being a shipper for years in my previous life, my background really comes in trade show logistics. So I've really looking forward to using my experience in the events industry to kind of bring kind of exciting new ideas to the NACV show. I'm learning so much more about the trucking industry and talking to private and for-hire fleets and suppliers. And then also through reading as much as I can get my hands on and listening to podcasts, a lot like yours, among other things. I'm really looking forward to translating all of these conversations and all of this knowledge into some more meaningful experiences where fleets and carriers can get together and find solutions to what keeps them up at night.
Right. You know, there really is a lot more to this industry than meets the eye. When someone says trucking, they probably roll their eyes. They have no idea. So many things are happening now in the trucking industry, and a lot of them, of course, does have to do with technology. And I know there's a lot of exhibitors at your show, and you don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm going to ask this. Is there one technology trend that you're seeing that could be kind of under the radar and happening faster than we realize? And if so, what would you say it is from where you're standing right now?
You know, I'm going to say this. I'm not a journalist and I'm not an engineer, but if it is coming, it will be at our show, the NACV show. You know, we're working with so many different partners, so many different companies, developing this network of meaningful activities like workshops and hands-on centers for peripheral devices. So it's really about gathering the largest gathering of OEM suppliers and fleets in the commercial trucking market. And we'll be talking about every technology out there together.
Okay, that's fair enough. If it's coming, it is coming to the NACV, which, by the way, is October 28th through 31st this year. And you can register at nacvshow.com. Well, this is something that we are all about on What the Truck and FreightWaves Radio, Carmen, is we want to know, what can we do to play our part in making trucking cool again? How are we doing it? How can we make trucking cool again? Or are we already making trucking cool again?
Trucking is cool. Trucking has always been about a culture and not just a job. And I think that's what's appealing about trucking. It's not just something you do to get a job done, but there's also kind of an entire ecosystem around it. And realistically, these trucks have been the most advanced tech on the road for years. You know, all the bells and whistles really are an attractive feature to a lot of the youth that are coming up and kind of coming in and realizing that all of this stuff is just so ahead. So between shifting to more of a hub and spoke model and adding things like assistive driving, I think all of these things will make trucking much more attractive, as well as, if I think about, we focus on all these opportunities that are available, be that engineering, data analysis. There's all these other jobs that are kind of coming into the trucking industry. So it's not just about trucks, even though it is about trucks. So I think all of that will really kind of increase that cool factor. It's just a matter of getting to the younger generation and showing them what's available.
That is right. We're all about it too with you here on What the Truck. We're gonna get the word out. You've done it, Carmen. Congratulations. You ran the gauntlet in 4 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty good. Thanks, Chad.
Very, very impressive. It's great to have you on, and it's interesting to meet people who, have come into the logistics space from, a variety of different ways. I think trucking logistics you're not called to the logistics industry. It often finds you. But when it does, boy, it can be a wild ride.
Yes, it can. And I've got to honestly say it's really interesting seeing just how much trucking touches everything. And that's been very eye-opening to me. I think I realized it, but I never really realized it. Now I'm seeing kind of the scope of what trucking really does. And it really is the backbone of every industry in the U.S. economy.
It really is. Thanks for being on, Carmen. We will help you spread the word through social media. We'll just be sharing the love so everybody can know that the NACV show 2019 is biannual. So take advantage of it. It's at the big Georgia World Congress Center in downtown Atlanta, right off of Peachtree Street. And it's it's from October 28th again, all right up until Halloween. And What the Truck listeners, if you go to the nacvshow.com and you register with code FW19, you can get a free Expo Hall Pass. Thanks again, Carmen Diaz. Thanks for playing 5 good minutes.
Thanks, Chad. I look forward to seeing you there.
All right, great. Thank you. Yes.
All right.
We are talking about, a story that we broke about a week ago today.
Ooh, yeah.
About Amazon and their
freight.amazon.com, right?
Yes, and it's like easy for me to say their disintermediation strategy. It's interesting. It's complicated to me and a lot of lay people. And we have got 2 experts who are they've been digging in. We have got Kevin Hill from Carrier List fame. Wow. He is now one of our market experts at FreightWaves, doing all kinds
Only bringing the best.
Kevin, in a minute, you can tell us about how the survey, what you've been doing, how you conducted it, and, some of the results of that. We've also got Seth Home. Is that correctly? And he is going to be talking to us about stocks and companies and what this means. And you know what it is? It's kind of a bottom line. It's kind of a reality check on Amazon's denials. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chad.
It's great to have you here. And so you don't have to split the mic completely. Let's just start with you, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about some of the survey results, what you're doing, and how it's informing us.
Well, what is it? What is Amazon Freight too? What is Amazon? You guys found it. You discovered it. We broke the story out of what is it?
So Amazon Freight is a new beta site that now they've entered the freight matching app, right?
Wow.
Very, very small beta, Northeast.
Right. Okay.
Is this like Uber Freight? Is freight matching?
It's like Uber Freight, yes.
Wow, okay.
Uber, Convoy, all the digital freight
Huge
matching
story.
apps out there, right? So, but the brokerage arm has been around for a couple years now.
Of course.
Like a traditional brokerage, right?
Yes.
And that's what a lot of the freight matching apps, they start out as. They have this great UI and an app, but in the background, it's the same freight brokers and carrier salespeople calling the same carriers and customers and doing sales.
So it's just an interface, you're saying. It's just a
an
UI
interface,
that helps. But it's probably moving it digitally and moving it more rapid than, say, fax machines and a lot of the old legacy systems, right?
Definitely. So they get this process down, and then they try to automate as much as possible in incremental type of phases, right? To where they can get to some markets, like Convoy's announced a couple weeks ago, in some markets that it's fully automated, right? So they try to fully automate it, but a lot of the digital, high tech freight brokerages are still, on the phones.
Well,
Maybe
they
not
always
fax machines, but on the phones.
Right. They always automated, but they also always say it's all about relationships.
Exactly right.
And so and also they're always trying to achieve critical mass, and obviously Amazon, they've got that critical mass. They're just right now kind of trying to achieve kind of, I guess, what we would call an operational efficiency. Yeah. What's the strategy? How is it happening? What's your survey about, Kevin?
So our survey, we surveyed FreightWaves subscribers, right, to the newsletter, carriers, brokers, shippers, and just trucking fans, right? Whoever wanted to fill out the survey. So we got about 800 respondents, right? And certainly it's polarizing. Amazon is a polarizing company, to say the least, right?
And digital freight is polarizing to carriers, so there's a lot of components here. There's a lot of meat on this bone, and there's a lot of fear too, because people are already afraid of like FBA, right? Fulfilled by Amazon, and now they're also talking about overseas brokerage doing discounts or that. So there's a huge data scope component here too that Amazon is going to be able to capture.
Yeah, definitely. So what we found though is that carriers really don't like the idea. Right? They really don't.
Yeah.
They dislike it more than brokers do for whatever reason, right? Because
interesting.
The pricing and the discounts that we published, or JP published, is to the broker or to the shipper, let's say, right? So what they're paying to the carrier is going to be the market rate, right? It's going to be on the lower end of the market rate, but it's going to be a market rate.
Sure.
What they're doing is cutting out the broker, the broker's margin, right?
Yeah.
So
that disintermediation, right?
Disintermediation, exactly. So the brokers should be the most worried about it, right? And the digital freight brokers should be very worried.
Yeah.
Because Amazon's entering their sweet spot.
It's scary to be a 3PL right now. It's got to be, because there's so much consolidation going on, and so many things are going digital and taking things in-house. Like you're seeing Maersk and CEVA joining with CMA, CGM, and there's so much buy-up going on right now on the ocean side and on the carrier side. I mean, I just covered that Falcon story, and they were at account with GM, and you're talking about this with these old legacy systems. Transportation is a business of very low margin, so you have to scale rapidly to make any money, and nobody can probably scale better than Amazon.
Nobody did, right? So you take their freight matching, right? It's a very small beta version right now, but it's analogous to this little online bookseller, right?
Yeah.
Trends start small, right?
Yeah.
In Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Which leads us, I think, to some of like why we are trying to dig a little deeper here, because we've broke this news and we're suggesting that they're really trying to undercut the competitors, and they're just pricing it really below what everybody else would be doing, and this has been their traditional strategy, and yet of course right now they're denying it to whatever extent. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but we stand by our reporting, and you guys have done some deeper dives here. Like, what's can you tell me just a little bit more about like their strategy, Kevin, and like what we're seeing, and how the results of your survey are kind of like corroborating our reporting?
Sure. Yeah. So number one is that they do run a brokerage, right? That they run a brokerage that is competitive with everybody else, right?
Right.
And they've been ramping that up. So they haven't been announcing it. A lot of brokers that I've been talking to in the last couple of days, they haven't come against them competitively in the market, but they're out there, and I've gotten a couple of estimates of their run rate being somewhere between $400 and $600 million right now. They are breaking into the freight matching system too, right? I mean, so they can deny it. They can not usually, I guess their choice is usually not to say anything, right?
Yeah. It's not so insidious. They have a strategy. They have a business model, right?
Amazon knows better than anyone how important data is, right? And in this industry, I'm sure we've all been at conferences, and we always hear that same byline, well, this is about relationships. So somehow that is an excuse to not provide great customer service or a great UI. And the carriers that are being successful now, and the Amazons that are being successful, they're doing the same stuff on the back end, but they're putting that UI in front of it, right? Why do you think that is, though? Why is the industry so afraid of data?
I think they are afraid of transparency, right? Because basically you have your own moat, whether you're an owner-operator or a one-person agent for a freight broker, or a team of 20 that's a mid-sized broker. It's your secret sauce, right? So you don't want to democratize that data, because you're giving away your unfair advantage that you built up for 20 years, right?
Well, that does explain a little bit of why, of the why behind why there is resistance at different levels of what, ultimately is the bigger goal of transparency. Seth, you too have been corroborating the validity of our story and our reporting. So what tell us a little bit about, just give us an overview. I know it's probably really high level and but like, can you just kind of give us an overview in layman's terms?
What's a down to earth take on it? What's going on?
Yeah. So before I came to FreightWaves, I spent the last 10 years at a hedge fund covering consumer and technology stocks. So I am no stranger. I've been living this on a weekly basis. Amazon enters new markets literally on a weekly basis. And so we kind of took a look at the process of how they go about that. And usually there's a media report, and then whatever the industry in question is begins to rapidly sell off. And so that's exactly what we saw with the trucking and logistics companies on Monday.
Wow.
Right. So Kevin and I we just added up the losses between the trucking and logistics companies, and we came up with a number around $2 billion in market cap losses.
Wow.
And in a matter of minutes. So
that's Amazon fear caused $2 billion in money to shift that quickly?
That's right. And about 50% of that alone was C.H. Robinson, which was a $12 billion company, down 8%.
Because we just did their earnings, right?
Yeah, and I remember like a few days later, JP, John Paul Hamstead, our correspondent, who's been breaking a lot of this news this week, man, he's been on fire. He said, C.H. Robinson ain't afraid, and no Amazon, right? But I don't know. Should they be? Should anybody be? What's the reality? What are you seeing, Seth?
Yeah. So maybe we can take a historical approach. That's kind of the way I attacked it. So I came up with a list of 40 companies over the last 3 years, and I'm sure there's a lot more. These are just ones that I rattled off the top of my head quickly. And it's a diverse basket across industries. Anything from
I think you were going to say something else.
Across industries, anything from consumer to industrials to healthcare to technology. And our findings basically suggest is that there's always a sharp and severe downside reaction to whatever the stock is in question.
Yeah.
However, what we did when we looked at all the stocks over time and their charts, and then how things kind of played out over the longer term, it's actually, it wouldn't be what people would intuitively assume, but it's been a pretty good buying opportunity in the vast majority of cases.
Oh, wow.
So when you guys talk to shippers, what was their component on it? Because I know that, like, I don't want to name names, but I've talked to companies, I've interviewed people on other shows. I've talked to people who've had their own goods, had been Amazon basicked, basically. They'd been in the Amazon Fulfilled by Amazon system. Amazon saw that they could make a better profit with a very similar product and cut them out. Is there any fear there that letting Amazon even deeper into the supply chain?
Yes, there definitely is, right? And that's what our survey shows, is that not only brokers and carriers are wary of this move, but certainly shippers in any direct competition, right? And we also asked a question: do you think other large retailers will get into the brokerage spot? And it's about 50-50, no matter who you ask. Whether it's
super interesting question.
Yeah. So is this going to be first of many people hitting the market? And going back up to what kind of disruption can you have? We did some quick math before you came in here, right? And I think C.H. Robinson does what, $15 billion in
billion, yeah, and about a little over $1 billion on net revenue.
Yeah, so at $15 billion, you'd take an Uber, Convoy, Amazon. They would have to grow by 25 times to really get 20 to 25 times, let's say, to get to that size. And C.H. Robinson has 2 to 3% of market share. So this will disrupt, make people adopt new technology? Are they going to dominate the market? No, especially if they can't work with competitors, right?
This is what so this sparks this question based on what you guys are saying, thinking of a historical lens and things. And maybe it's a counterintuitive question. I know there will be disruption and chaos for various partners, but overall, could this possibly be good for the overall industry? It's not a leading question. I really don't know. I'm literally asking, it may be a dumb question, but could it be good for the overall logistics industry that Amazon is trying to play this game?
Well, and just to add to that, I think kind of what you're saying too is I've been talking about there's kind of a countdown to extinction going on for these carriers who aren't adapting. So much market share is being bought up, and especially now that private equity is coming in, you're seeing venture capital come in. People are just going to come in and buy market share with these companies that can't compete. But is that a good thing, or is that
overall,
a bad thing? Right?
I'm sure people would die off, but is there a raising of I don't know.
Well, there is, right, and it shows in the survey as well, because who is this going to? So on the broker side, right, who's most at risk with Amazon? You know, who are they going to take out? And the clear winner on that is brokers who do not adopt new technology, right? Who do not become data driven.
That's
right?
the low hanging fruit.
That's
right?
the low hanging fruit, right? Which is, you know, the mass of brokers out there, right? Who control, you know, it's basically a 20/80 rule on brokerages as well, a little bit, right? But those who don't know what's going on in the market, who are faxing things around, who, you know.
It's 2019, guys.
I know, right? So who don't have TMSs, who don't have technology to do that. And carriers as well, right?
Do you know that less than 50% of companies even have a TMS right now? I've seen numbers between 48% and 52%, which is mind-blowing to me.
It's in my survey that I did a few months ago.
Yeah.
Is 30%.
I worked for a 4PL before I came here, and we would pretty much use TMS optimization to bring savings to shippers, because the way carriers are tethered, and a lot of shippers may not be aware of this, but brokers are not, they're not freight agnostic. They have partnerships with other carriers, so they have to leverage your freight. That's what they do. They're just reselling freight to you. But if you have a TMS, you can give yourself some transparency, and we would save companies millions of dollars just through routine TMS optimization. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Excel sheets, right?
Yeah.
We're well above. That was about 50%.
Yeah.
You know, I think, what was it? It was TMSs and faxes were right at a third, right? They were neck and neck, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, you know.
No, it's nuts.
I know. The first broker's chair I sat down in, we had the fax machine going off, and you're like, oh, you need to go fax this to an insurance company. And I'm like, who faxes?
It should be like saying you don't have a smartphone if you're a shipper and you don't have a TMS. It should be that, like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
There are so many exciting things happening in the industry right now. We're talking about Transparency 19. It feels like everyone's doing it, and yet then you turn around and you're like, wait a minute, the AOBRD deadline is happening at the end of 2019, and half to maybe 60% are not compliant with that? So there are these little reality checks, I suppose. I didn't know that it was just such a low-hanging fruit type of question. But yeah, I mean, guys, thanks for, you know, I can't wait for the release of this data, which I think is forthcoming, right?
Very soon, probably next week.
Very soon, man.
Next week, actually, it will be next
These
week.
white papers, this deeper dive research is all about it. What part
Before
of
they
what,
go, I got one question. I got a burning question in my head, because I've been thinking about this long and hard. Everyone's talking about how, like, the Walmarts in the world and the Targets in the world can compete with Amazon and can scale with them. And they have this massive footprint, and they're doing a lot of deliveries to stores. So why don't they compete with Prime with something like, if you order more than $25 worth of goods, you get a $5 gift card, in-store gift card. Then people come in the store, they pick up the goods, and they go buy some more stuff.
The consumer guy. This is the
Tell me
consumer
why that
guy.
would be a bad idea. Is that a bad idea?
I think that in some ways that's kind of a misconception. Walmart is actually doing an amazing job competing with Amazon. They, I believe, are close to a $50 billion run rate, and they're actually growing faster, substantially faster than Amazon is in their e-commerce. Now, some of that has been driven by acquisition. They acquired Jet.com and some other properties.
But don't you feel like if Amazon was the other one, if Amazon was in Walmart, they would put like their boot on someone's throat like that? They would be like, all right, well, we'll make sure you go in store and here's $5, and they're going to go and buy more stuff.
Well, I think another thing I might mention on that, to that point, when Amazon recently on their most recent earnings call announced one-day shipping, broad base, which they're going to invest $800 million in, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Walmart came out the following day. I believe it was a tweet. I might be mistaken, but in a tweet they said, you know, we're going to do one day and it's going to be free. Walmart is not sitting idly on their hands.
They
just
really
letting
are
Amazon
not.
kill
You know what,
them.
though? They got to get their apps better. Amazon's app is world class. For all the junk on there, it's easy to find stuff on Amazon. If you've gone shopping on like the Target or Walmart apps or some of the other retailers' apps, it's amazing how much better Amazon's is than most other retail. The UI is just phenomenal, and I'm always waiting for the other ones to catch up.
Yeah, Seth, can you get on that? Like helping
Yeah,
them?
there's. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, they've got. I think everyone has a long ways to go. I mean, Amazon's been doing it for longer and better than everyone. But
It's like there's a reason we're talking about Amazon as the lead, right? But you're right. Like the more it's Walmart's impressive. I mean, they got the 5,000 brick and mortars. I don't know how many.
Yeah,
but,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Is all of this ultimately good for consumers? It sounds like the competition is, but does it also drive down rates too low and cost jobs? Economically, is it good or is it bad?
Are we talking freight brokerage now or just online retail?
I don't know. I know now this is going to be a big, long topic. You guys
know,
might
I
have to
thought
come
we were
back.
wrapping
We'll
things
have
up.
to come back to dive
Yeah.
into this.
I think in online retail, Amazon's undoubtedly been a big benefit to the consumer. That they've driven down price and speed and convenience. And,
yeah.
I mean,
Who
think
doesn't
about how
need
many
mine?
things you
Yeah,
order
we're
on
destroying
And you
Amazon.
get streaming, and you get music. I mean, and you get like 10
Yeah.
gigabytes of photo storage. I mean, they really like. And then
It's-
they accidentally started the biggest web server in the in the world, through AWS. I mean, it's
I'm on
hard to
board.
deny that they're run very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But like if you order like shampoo, you're gonna end up with like 28 pounds of cardboard. That came to you in a day. So we might be ripping up the the climate. But wow, it's good for us consumers.
Well, last thing,
I
what
want
can we
what
expect
it-
at what can we expect at Transparency? Let's just plug that first. So we got that coming up. What is that? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? What's coming on at Transparency from you guys on the data side and on the markets research side?
So we have three. We have two in the kicker right now, and we're finishing up the Amazon. The Amazon will be released at Transparency.
Okay, well,
behind
great.
Sonar, right? Everything will be available within Sonar.
Nice.
Oh,
We
great.
have autonomous vehicles, right? The state of the market.
Oh
on
man,
that.
that's exciting.
And we also have a 2019 outlook. What trends to watch with freight?
Nice.
Where are we going
Wow.
from
Well,
here?
man, I hope we're not
that's what we
in
have.
podcasting that, because
But
this really interests me. I geek out to this kind of stuff, so I'm over at the nerd table with you guys.
Well, you guys, great to have you on for your inaugural debut. I know that's redundant, but I like saying it.
Yeah.
And I mean, no good deed goes unpunished. So we're going to have you guys on again. Fantastic work. Thank
Yeah.
you for the analysis.
Thanks for making it easy for us to understand. You deserve a little cowbell for that one.
Cowbell! Now with 100% more cowbell.
All right, man.
And that has been,
Whoa.
Dooner.
Ellis is gone.
tell you
They're
what.
gone, man.
Yeah, we have just run everybody off. But
have.
but except for our listeners, I trust you're still listening. Thanks for staying with us. We are trying to bring it to you each and every, almost day. But
Yeah,
for now,
I mean,
as
we've been working on stuff, right? We have a radio show
Yeah.
tomorrow, and then we leave for Transparency.
That's
and then
right.
we do work Transparency.
That's right. So, stay tuned. FreightWaves Radio is going to be coming literally live to you from 3 to 5 Eastern Time Saturday. And we've got all kinds of cool people we're talking to. We're talking to Chris Kirchner, the CEO of Slink. And Slink, they're a Silicon Valley based company that, they started off kind of in blockchain, but they kind of left that behind. They went international global supply chain. It's going to be interesting to hear about what Chris Kirchner has been up to and all of them. And, at the same time, they were best in show. They were one of the winners, but he's got some interesting things to talk about along those lines. We're also going to be talking with Preet Sivia of Parade.io. We're going to be talking with Dean Croak. He's developing a segment. He is the
Fellow Bostonian.
He is. He's another masshole, and man, he just loves to. He's also.
Wait. We can say that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, he is also from Australia, and he's put in over 3 million miles as a over-the-road commercial driver, and he still has his 2003 Peterbilt, the Grumpy Pete. He is going to be bringing it to us on a variety of subjects, not just how you can sleep better, and not just how we can make trucking cool again. We're always trying to make trucking cool again, and you are part of that movement.
Yeah.
And Dooner, you are making trucking cool again. It's great to have you on as a co-host
You know
here.
what's fun, man? It's fun to just have people in and have a conversation, because I think if
Yeah.
you engage people in their passion, they get excited. In the logistics industry, like when we leave these offices, there's nobody to talk to about this stuff. There's only arguments to get online with other people about some of these things, like whether blockchain should be a public utility or there should be a bunch of diversification. There's so many interesting subjects going on. We're going to hit a lot of them at Transparency. As you mentioned, we have that special report that's up right now. It's going to be on the What the Truck feed. It's the FreightWaves special report. I talked to Ellis, who was in here, who bungled the earnings over under. He does a little bit better job on the special report. That's a really sad thing. Reach out to me at Timothy Dooner. Chad, what's your contest? We also, if you're interested in the Falcon, people, reach me for information. I can put you in touch with them.
One of the things I just wanted to add to what you were saying a moment ago is there are so many exciting things in this industry, and I sincerely mean that. I will probably forever be an outsider to the industry in that I started a year and a half ago, and it doesn't matter how long you try to be in, you never were one of the super insiders. But man, I tell you what, I have like. I'm gonna be leading off talking at Transparency 19 at 8:00 a.m. on Monday, and I'm gonna share just in a very few minutes like part of my story and where I've come from the last year and a half. And I have to say, it has been an amazing ride, and logistics is actually an industry that who knew, but you can actually get passionate about because it touches on just about literally everything you can think about one way or another. It's like 7 degrees removed, like of the Kevin Bacon, like this 1 degree removed in logistics.
Well, I don't want to like toot our own horn, but I think that we could do an entire podcast in completely insourcing the 100 or so people who work here, because everyone here has kind of this amazing journey. Everyone here is very passionate. And because that, sometimes there's arguments. People here bring all different perspectives. They come from all different walks of life, and they bring all different voices. I personally am just glad I get to share mine with you, and I get to share a seat next to you, Chad.
Thanks, Dooner. Yeah, it is great. It is very diverse, and yet we kind of have like this culture. We share it, and we are killing it. It's great to thank you so much for being here on What the Truck, and we're killing it for you each and every week. And I am, you can find me at Chad Prevost on Twitter. That's my handle, just straight up at Chad Prevost.
All right, I guess see you at Transparency, right?
Let's see everybody at Transparency, where we are bringing it to you with 100% more cowbell. And if you can't make it to TP19 on time or at all, we'll be streaming it live for you. Yeah. So tune in.
Yeah, well, we're practicing today. We'll have big news. We can't announce it yet, but we're going to have some big news, too. Stay tuned to
What the Truck.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, next time, baby.